Greetings and welcome to the second episode of Cities of Cyrodiil. As always, I'm your host, Elf Guy, and if you missed the pilot episode that aired last month, this is a new series we're doing where we look at 3 city, town, and village mods every month for Oblivion. And these are mods that go a long way to help, fill in the countryside with civilization, which is something I'm always in favour of, given, how underpopulated Cyrodiil is. And anyway, we've got some really nice town mods for you today, and you can find all the download links down in the video description below. Starting out, we have our popular town mod of the month, which this month is the Town of Charming by Gorky45 and Nephany13. And this mod adds a fairly small and rustic little hamlet to the Red Ring Road east of the Imperial City, near the burned down remains of an old alchemical shop. The town itself really isn't much of a town so much as a, sort of a collection of houses and windmills dotting the green hills of the valley around Lake Rumère here. And in total, there's about 3 or 4 different houses, a few windmills, and a tavern, rounding out this small settlement. Presumably, at one point, the alchemical shop was also part of the town, but, since it burned down, it's just really ruined at this point. But in any event, the architecture here is fairly unique, and certainly, quite charming, as the name of the town would imply. With the windmills and the houses, it adds a lot of, nice towers to the landscape, lending a sort of, air of verticality, even though the town is mostly just spread out along the green hills and knolls of the landscape here. There's also a fair amount of landscaping here, including gardens of flowers and a vegetable garden by the inn. There's also a stables where, visitors can put their horses when stopping by at the tavern. And you'll actually find a fair amount of, sheep roaming the grassy hills back a ways from the main road, since many of the residents are simple sheep farmers living a simple life in this small town. And while the village isn't really, much to look at, it does kind of blend in with the Cyrodiil landscape and feels like an immersion edition, like this town could have been in the vanilla game potentially. And you can see the town on the map here, and it does come with a map marker naturally. And aside from the Imperial City though, it's not really near a whole lot, just another, village on the Red Ring Road like many of the other small villages that were in the vanilla game. And the main service of any kind here, though, is the tavern, which isn't, very large, basically just one room here with a modest amount of jack-o'-lantern decor for some reason. The barkeep offers a number of drinks for sale, as well as 2,000 bartering gold, which is a bit higher than the average for Cyrodiil merchants, I think. And real quick, I did just want to take a look at one of the houses here. There aren't any player homes here, as far as I can tell, so these are, just NPC homes. But they are, rather uniquely decorated, if a bit on the plain side, and they do also use some of that rather unique architecture on the interior here, with lots of, arched ceilings and the like. And overall, Charming is, well, a charming little village along the Red Ring Road, outside of the Imperial City. It's mostly an immersive edition with lore-friendly windmills and sheep farms, but it does also come with a tavern. That might be a nice place to, stop by for a drink or to unload a few goods on your way to the Imperial City or someplace else. It's certainly a scenic little hamlet, even if it doesn't, have much else to offer, really. And next we have our new town mod of the month, and this time around we have the Village of Withypool by Rich Teague Blue Penguin, and I do apologise if I mispronounced that. Now, I have to confess, out of all the town mods that we've looked at so far, this is probably one of my personal favourites. But before we get into why, let's actually take a look at this village, shall we? So the town of Withypool is a medium-sized town along the Red Ring Road outside of the Imperial City. Only, unlike most towns, it only has one entrance, involving a set of stairs and ramps that leads up to the town proper. And this is one of the designs I just absolutely love about this village. It has just an amazing sense of verticality that you don't normally see in small towns like this, with towers and houses built right on top of one another. There's also some pretty close-quartered streets with lines of flowers coming down from above, and the real heart of this small city is a central market plaza at the top of the hill here, protected on a couple of sides by imposing walls and fortifications. And this is sort of, like a fortified European city, and I imagine this would be a really hard place for invaders to break into. And anyway, while the central plaza is where you'll find the main marketplace, the keep and home of the nobility in charge of this small settlement is actually secreted away on a side street, going up to a position overlooking the rest of the village here. And there's, some pretty fantastic views from up here. And, because the village is built along the side of a hill, it has some really great platforms to view the surrounding landscapes from. And coming out a bit from the city, you can see it basically sits on a sort of cliff face alongside the Red Ring Road, with a commanding position to protect it from bandits or marauders, though I imagine merchants would have a pretty hard time getting their goods up all those steps to the town proper. But anyway, you can see the town on the map here, and it's basically not that far away from the Imperial City. adding another settlement for you to come across on the Red Ring Road, and of course it does have a map marker as well. And as you'd expect of a town of this size, it does have a few shops, most notably a general goods shop, where you can find a variety of items for sale, as well as sell a few of your, hard-earned adventuring treasures. Though the merchant here only has about 650 gold, so you may just want to make a trip to the Imperial City instead. Either way, the shop here is nicely decorated, and you can occasionally find townspeople coming in here for, their daily needs. And there's also a small alchemy shop, and I do mean small, it's just really this one small room right here, but there's a few potions and ingredients to sale, and the merchant here also has about 500 gold to work with. Now you'll find that this town also has two houses for sale, one for about 4,000 gold and another one for about 16,000. The cheapest house is down by the town entrance at the bottom of the stairs, while the more expensive manor is along the central plaza. You can see the cheap house here, and it's a really, quite lovely looking abode, with a dining room and a kitchen on the first floor with a roaring fireplace, and enough room to seat some company. There's also a lot of, ivy and a few potted plants in here to give a splash of green to the decorations. And upstairs, you'll find a study and library with a small desk for you to use, and a couple of bookshelves for, storing your various books on naturally. There's also a small bedroom, and this is just a really cozy home to call your own. And here you can see the other house that you can buy, the manor house, that's up in the central plaza, which is again a very lovely looking home, including a main entry hall that has a lot of really nice ivy and potted plants coming down from the ceiling to give the home a nice warm touch. And there's also a large dining room over here on the side with a few display cases and bookshelves for you to use to show off various items you've collected and the like. And on the second floor you'll find a large sort of, lounge area where you can just, rest and relax with a book. And there's also a few bookshelves and display cases in here, as well as a, sort of strange looking skeleton sort of thing. And you also find a master bedroom and a guest bedroom up here on the second floor as well. And the guest bedroom can be used by companion or NPC staff if you have any. And really both of these homes are just, really nicely decorated and cozy looking. And overall, Withypool is an incredibly scenic little town on the Red Ring Road with an amazing sense of verticality in the design. It does have a number of services and features, including a general goods shop, an alchemy shop, an outdoor food vendor, map marker, and two-player homes that you can purchase that are, both unique and very, warmly decorated. I'd highly recommend checking this mod out. It's just a really cool-looking town and, definitely worth visiting. Finally, we have our underrated town art of the month, and this time around we have Runestone Village by Antiscamp and updated by Imhan123. And deep in the woods between Coral and Bruma, you'll find a small hamlet hidden between the trees with a small path running to it from the Orange Road. And this is quite obviously the village of Runestone, a pretty small settlement of about 8 or 9 buildings surrounding a main central town square in the center, including a small village church, a manor house owned by a mayor, a Coral-style tavern and inn, a few farms, an Imperial Legion guard outpost. And while it's not a very large town, it's a very charming little hamlet that blends in rather well with the Cyrodiil landscape here. And it also includes a lot of detailing of a lot of, detritus from daily life, like crates and barrels here and there, overgrown grass, run-down fences, small farms and stables, and an old cemetery in the back. And the town really feels, kind of organic, like it sort of grew naturally and was built to fit the landscape here, which is, personally how I prefer towns to look, rather than the, rather unnatural way that Bethesda often does city building. The town is also just, really pretty to travel through, with lots of flowering trees, small gardens, and just a lot of, rustic charm that feels like a backwoods settlement where some of the citizens are just, roughing it through daily life. But anyway, you can see the town on the map here, and it's basically in between Coral and Bruma, though perhaps a town closer to Bruma overall. It does have a map marker, but you'll have to, discover it first, since the mod doesn't include anything on the map when you first load it up. And like a lot of, Antiscamp's other town mods, you'll find that most of the NPCs here have at least 1 or 2 unique lines of dialogue to them. Now, you won't find any epic quests here, at least, none that I could find, but there's, still some, really unique personalities and characters that populate this village. But anyway, moving on, this town does come with a few services, such as a village shop, which is basically a general merchant that buys and sells a little bit of everything, honestly, and has about 1,000 gold to barter with, which is, really convenient if you're stuck out in the backwoods with a lot of loot to sell, but, nowhere else nearby to go to. And, of course, the shop is also, rather nicely detailed as well, if a bit on the small side overall. And you also find a small tavern, though, again, not terribly much to look at, but you can ask the barkeep here for a bit of information about the town's history, and she also has some drinks and food for sale as well. And the tavern is also where you can find the town smith, who can repair your weapons and armor, but he doesn't, actually buy or sell anything, so you'll have to take your arms and armor to the trader if you want to, actually make a profit off of them. And there's also a small player home that you can get, though you'll need to find the key first since it's hidden somewhere in the village. This is just a small cottage really, composed of a master bedroom, a small dining area and kitchen, a study over by a roaring fireplace and a bit of storage. And regardless of the size, it's certainly quite cozy and well decorated, making for a nice potential home for you to use. And while I don't think there's an official quest included here, there is a bit of trouble going on outside of town apparently, with a goblin invasion and, citizens warned to keep an eye out for marauding goblins out in the woods. And overall, this is a very charming and rustic town out in an isolated area of Cyrodiil, with a lot of nice details and even a few features that might interest the passing adventurer. There's a general goods shop, a tavern, a smith to repair items at, a map market, and of course there's also a small player home, which is always a nice feature to have. And with scheduled NPC characters that also have, a bit of unique dialogue, this is a, fine addition to your Cyrodiil experience and, definitely worth checking out. And anyway, that wraps up everything I have for you guys today. And anyway, we'll be back in about a month with another 3 town mods to your viewing pleasure. And until then, thanks for watching and I'll see you all next time.